You hear that all right? All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. So give everybody some time to get settled. If you're tuning in today, thanks a lot for joining us. We're going to get started in just a few moments. We're going to be using that Q&A feature today. If you guys are calling in from somewhere, let us know. What state are you calling in from? Have a little fun with this one. I'm broadcasting out of the Bayou down in New Orleans. I wasn't born in the Bayou, my son was. All right. Jeff's coming from Colorado Springs. What's up, Jeff? Jane in Northern Virginia. Virginia's for lovers. Mississippi, just down the road from NOLA. What's up, Meredith? Gary in Washington. Wenatchee. Eric in Denver. Where Devin's at? Right down the street. For those of you who are just joining us, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Let everybody get settled. If you need to grab another quick cup of coffee, maybe a little bit of popcorn for the show today, feel free to do so. Karen calling in from Jamaica. What's up, Karen? Good to see you. Chris down in Dallas, Fort Worth. Marshall in Huntsville. Oh, nice. Carl coming in from Houston. All right, we are going to go ahead and slowly get started here. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Ben Bouslog. I am your entertainment for today. Is that what we call it, Devin? I don't know. But I am the Vice President of Business Development for AdCellerant. And today it's a little CCR, cookies, crumbs, and revenue. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this stuff today. I'm joined by our Vice President of Managed Ad Operations, Devin Yeager.
Hi, everyone.
Devin is not new to AdCellerant, but he's new to the team. We've been working side by side for a little while. But Devin, go ahead and give yourself a little bit of an introduction. Tell us a little bit about your background, what you do.
Yeah, my background has been in ad operations, specifically on the publisher side, for the last 15 to 20 years. I helped start an SSP when they originally started, called Altitude Digital, and it went to become a video SSP. So very into what the advertisers are seeing, what signals are being passed, and how the publishers are reacting to it. And from there, I started a company called Blue Orchid that was a sister company of AdCellerant. And our goal was to help publishers with their yield management and also their managed ad operations, so their own direct campaigns. Our ultimate goal is to keep that inventory very exclusive, make sure your direct clients are getting what they paid for, and making sure that your inventory is not overexposed.
Thanks, Devin. Devin, you say this in such great ways. It lands so perfectly. I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying, but for those of you who might need a little bit more of a truncated version, it's, essentially helping publishers place ads their own websites and making sure that the ads that do show up in their websites that may not have been direct sold, they're getting the most revenue out of those, right? So you want to make sure that you're finding incremental ways to drive revenue through all of your core assets, especially. And if you have one of those websites, I think that you should definitely be paying attention to the conversations we're having today. But Devin, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited about this. We're talking about cookies, we're talking about revenue, we're talking about managed ad operations, yield management, revenue strategies, all sorts of stuff. This is going to be great. We're going to start today talking a little bit about first off, a reminder who AdCellerant is and, what led us into the acquisition of Blue Orchid that you guys have probably seen within the last couple of weeks within some of our social media and stuff like that. Also, as a reminder, today's webinar will be recorded. We will be sending out the recording as well as the deck afterwards. If you have any questions, we do encourage you to please use the Q&A feature within the Zoom platform here today, and we can make something happen. Steve's calling in from Tarpon Springs, Florida. What's up, Steve? Thanks for joining us. So a little bit about AdCellerant. We're a technology and digital advertising company, and we're focused on making the complexities of digital simple. Obviously, with lots of different moving parts, whether you're talking about direct sold campaigns, remnant strategies, SEO, Google search, social media, programmatic. Oh my gosh, I could probably give you guys 10 acronyms off the top of my head. I'm not going to do that, but you need to make sure that we tie it all together and make it as simple as possible, right? So we do this through our best-in-class technologies, award-winning customer service, expert education, and more. Based out of Denver, Colorado, I think we hit 200 people on the team this week. I'll have to get a confirmation from Amy on that one. But we do have a proprietary software also we can give you guys an overview of, and lots of new enhancements and updates happening recently. And we work with lots of you, lots of different publishers, media partners, agencies, local marketers. We are excited about the business that we get to do with you. And as a reminder of what AdCellerant does in a nutshell, we're a full stack digital agency solution for you and your customers. We're here to make sure that you're able to provide high quality digital advertising solutions through a single point of contact. But one of the things that a lot of people aren't too familiar with is our managed ad operations solution. So we're lucky enough to be able to provide these at a very high level of quality because of that relationship that we have with Blue Orchid, which is now AdCellerant. So we at AdCellerant have made a very strategic acquisition of Blue Orchid. And essentially, it's to help you guys scale the direct sold campaigns that you have on your own websites so you can manage them through Google Ad Manager or even Google Ad Manager 360. And also support the unsold inventory or the remnant inventory, right? Having yield management strategies that help to boost revenue on ads that might be coming to your website that you didn't necessarily sell yourselves. Some of the key highlights of why AdCellerant made this acquisition and kind of joined forces with Blue Orchid was, first off, to blend different audience buys, making sure that that owned and operated audience buy is able to blend nicely with the audience extension piece, streamlining campaign management, consistent optimization strategies like what your current what your current campaign managers are doing through AdCellerant's audience extension campaigns. You can lean into that same team for your direct sold campaigns. We'll talk more about what that means, and also how it leads to more monetization opportunities. Devin, from your perspective, from the Blue Orchid side, right? What are some of those key highlights that you see as that kind of combining of forces between the two of our organizations?
It's telling the full story, I believe. When a client or an advertiser contacts a website or publisher, they're looking to run there, right? They're looking to run on that site. And then if they're going to an agency as well, they want to tell a story. It's not just the one ad that they want to show. So does that story start on NOLA.com and then go out to the other AdCellerant products? And with that, I believe it does. And I think that we shared the same vision with there on AdCellerant, and your guys' team's so great on focusing on your clients and then on their clients. That was also shared. So I'm very excited to be here. I do see great things, and I do see that blending happening to be more just a holistic approach for everybody involved, especially your guys' clients.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Devin. I think we definitely do share a lot of the same sentiments when it comes to quality, customer service, transparency, and making sure, all of our customers are able to get a lot of juice out of the squeezes that they're making, right?
Mm-hmm.
So back to the CCs, right? The cookies and crumbs. How do we take advantage of these things? First off, we have to remember, where have we been? in the first place. We pulled a little bit of reporting back from 2021, 3 years ago. I can't believe 2021 was 3 years ago, by the way. That's wild to me. Devin, tell us a little bit about what people were predicting in terms of this cookieless future that Google has been so eminently bringing down on us, but has been conveniently pushing it back for a couple of years now. What were we all thinking about back in 2021?
It's always interesting to read these things to me. People are pretty spot on with the first party data that they were thinking that was coming through, and why we're here today
Yeah.
to talk about those third party cookies. So that's coming, but a lot of these companies thought that they were going to build the solution in house. Their pollants, which is very interesting to me. As I mean, we're all in ad tech, and people are innovative, but 36% of the people aren't developing technologies that's adopted by the whole industry. So it was good to see some of that shake out. We'll talk about some of those technologies. Just a side note is the increased use of AI just in 2021 is only 30% of the people thought they were going to be looking into it or talking about it. I think that one was way off. So it's a little off topic, but that's a fun one to look at.
I thought so too. I know we definitely got a chuckle out of that one when we were preparing earlier. I could probably put on a webinar, step up on stage or on screen here and say AI, and then people will just go nuts. I feel like that's what's happening these days. All these keynotes are crazy over these AI speakers, right? So this is really impressive to see where things have actually been changing from where we thought we would be compared to where we're actually at. And so we want to make sure that we can outline exactly what that looks like. And so we've done a little bit of research, leaned into some of these eMarketer reports as well to see where we're at today in terms of how cookies are being used or how cookie alternatives are being used. And it's even down to the industry here. So we see here in Q2 of 2023, many of these industries, and even today, are still leveraging these cookies and have a little ways to go to make sure that they have that cookieless solution ready to go. The industries that are leading this way are used by everyone. Like you see the insurance, especially everybody essentially needs insurance, right? Not necessarily, something that's for, men or women only or certain demographics, etc. Everybody needs these types of things. So they're leaning towards some of these. And also those insurance companies have really great first party data already. If you haven't, I literally got a piece of mail the other day from my insurance company that says, here's a reminder that we have all of your data, and this is how we use it for marketing purposes, for our own internal pieces, or what we're sharing with other people. It's actually crazy. I mean, I'm starting to get those. I encourage you guys, if you get a piece of mail from your insurance company that talks about your data, go through and just read what that says. That is all first party data on you. And think about that. That's demographic information. They probably understand what your household income is, what your family makeup looks like, any of those things as well. If you have multiple vehicles or a boat or ATVs, those are types of things and data that they're able to use that essentially is cookieless, right? They know it's for you in particular. So let's think about what these solutions are and how people are leaning into this now. So there's differences though, and Devin, you do an amazing job of kind of talking about this, how the differences between advertisers leveraging this versus those publishers is pretty important to understand, because it's not like there's one solution that fits all, right? Obviously, everybody wants to lean into, let's find more cookieless solutions, let's find more first-party data. But what are the differences here, and how are these folks kind of preparing for this cookieless future, Devin?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That it's very different. The example that you gave with the insurance companies going toward and emailing you, and they know everything about you. That's their first party data. You signed up somewhere and put it on. It will soon become illegal for them to sell that data. So that data is very important to them. And how do you access that? The publishers also get this data coming back to them on their own website, is they can create these audience segments of saying they went to a sports page, they're a sports user, or they went down to cycling. So now we know even more about them, and matching that user up with other users. That is something that's going to become like gold, in my opinion, later this year, as early as later this year. by Q1 of 2025, it's going to be so important. What else is important on this screen is the contextual advertising. That's something that everybody can do with their own website right now and set it up to start gathering that data. And that is something that the advertisers are looking heavily at, but the publishers are a little bit behind them. So catching up there, you might be able to gain a foothold. One other thing, looking at the last slide that you have, the industries they're very interesting to me, of especially somebody like food and drink or retail or even auto, of how far they are behind insurance. I look at it as an opportunity. Is when this shoe drops, that is 91% of their buy on food and drink. They won't be able to use these cookies anymore. They will have to do something else. So that's some important information I would keep hold of for sure.
Absolutely. So, when as an agency or publisher that's approaching some of your customers, it sounds like we need to make sure they understand we're insulating ourselves from this cookieless future, and we don't necessarily need to lean into this cookie targeting in particular. We have different things that'll still help them accomplish their goals and objectives, but there's all these different options here, whether you have the Google Topics, which was the federated learning of cohorts that they had created. I think it kind of crashed and burned a little bit last year. It's still a little shaky right now. You have the unified ID 2.0 technology, like what the trade desk is creating, even programmatic deals and private marketplace deals that people are putting together now. It means different, it has different weights of meaning and levels of success for these publishers versus advertisers. So you just need to make sure that you have different strategies in place. If you don't have something in place, you don't know how you're going to address it, now's the time to start leaning into your partners, into your AdCellerant team, to make sure you understand how are we going to be able to address that, right?
Mhm.
So where are we at now with cookies? As a lot of people have probably seen the news, I think it was back in early January, mid-January, Google actually removed the cookie targeting from about 1% of Chrome. And just as everybody can understand the breadth of the impact that we have there, Chrome browser takes up about 65% of the market share in terms of how many people use all these different browsers, right? The 1% was about 30 million users. So if we're going to think about how many more people that this is going to affect, it is absolutely massive. And by the end of this year, everybody will be removed of this. They're starting off with small batches, and then it's going to start coming into more, waves of groups of people. So we're getting there, but we need to make sure that we understand how we're going to take advantage of first-party data, if we're leveraging those unified ID 2.0 solutions, or if we're leveraging other pieces through, say, a GAM 360 to collect our own data, and how we can repurpose that as well. So, Devin, anything else on here that you wanted to talk about before we move on?
No, that Unified 2.0, it's very important. What you mentioned, the trade desk coming through, it does collect different information. So it's important to know that you don't have to go with this solution and 2.0. It can be an and model, which is nice to have. So
Yeah, and just so everybody understands there, the Trade Desk has been building out the solution while leaning into the IAB, the Interactive Advertising Bureau. I like to consider them, I mean, in a very general term, kind of like the internet police. I don't know. It's
yeah.
kind of what they seem like to me, right? Making sure everybody's doing things appropriately, the right way. They're not using data surreptitiously. They're collecting information the correct way as well. Karen also asked if Google's removing cookies, what's going to happen to GDN? Any feedback on that, Devin?
Um,
So they're not going to have any cookie targeting within Chrome browsers in particular. GDN will have, Google's been working on something called
oh,
federated learning of cohorts, which is groups of targeting where it's like, hey, instead of targeting somebody who's interested in a Ford F-150, they're interested in automobiles. So you're not going to be able to get as granular within that. However, I'm sure within Google and GDN, they'll probably have some sort of solutions that could potentially, give them a little bit more, just because, the internet is Google's sandbox, right? We got to play by their rules. They're the elephant in the room. We want to do some of the things that they need, especially when it comes to like the GA4 trackability and all of those things. But other than that, I don't have a definitive answer for you. I feel like Google will probably have something up their sleeve to, put themselves ahead of everybody else. But what do you think, Devin?
Yeah, they have something inside Google Ad Manager for the websites. It's only in their premium version, Google Ad Manager 360. It's called a PPID, a publisher provided identifier that does collect this type of information that you're after for the Google Display Network. What I believe is that PPID that's coming from Google will only be available inside of their DSP in Google AdWords, and maybe some other larger ones like the Trade Desk. So I believe that's how it's going to go. With that Google Display Network, it will be focused towards publishers that use Google Ad Manager as their ad server. So if somebody uses a separate one, I believe they won't be participating, passing that type of information.
Mm-hmm. We could probably follow up with you on that one as well. If you guys have additional questions, obviously you can reach out to us. The answers we just gave you are pretty close to opinionated and not definitive answers. We want you guys to go out and publish or something like that. So we want to make sure that you understand, hey, we don't know everything still. I don't think Google knows everything still. It's a kind of a build it as you fly it kind of solution. And so making sure that you have as many of the boxes checked as possible to insulate yourselves will help you get to that point. So when we think about the differences that this means for publishers versus the advertisers, thinking about all the different needs, wants, and wishes that they have, how they're going to be leveraging the Google Topics versus a Unified ID 2.0 versus PPID, all those things. Devin, let's talk a little bit about where those publishers win and how their advertisers need to pivot.
Yeah, publishers have, I feel like the tables are turning. Advertisers and the bidders behind there always relied on third-party cookies since they've been available. And that necessity to talk to the publishers to allow for an upsell or anything else is slowly eroding. And it will give the publishers more power that they hold this data. They can either collect emails or phone numbers, or just when the user goes there and then they have that will give them the upper hand. They now have something exclusive, something unique, and something they know the publishers or the advertisers want. The advertisers, on the other hand, they're going to need to start pivoting. They have their own first-party data that they're collecting, but they're going to need to collect it from a user's journey through the internet and going to other websites and stuff. And they are going outside of social, outside of Amazon. They're actually going to real sites, and everybody knows that. So now that's where the power is going to lie. The advertisers, I think solutions that their large technology partners that they're using, like the Trade Desk at UID 2.0, I believe that's going to be very, very important to collect. And then looking at other cookieless targeting solutions, who has that? What's out there? They're going to be exploring that very heavily.
Yeah, these are all very powerful things that you should probably be aware of. And if you have clients that you're working with, they have not started aggregating the data that they have on their current customers or even prospective customers, make sure you're encouraging them to start leaning into that. They need to start finding somebody to work with to what do they call it, a CDP, a customer data platform, I believe is what it's called,
Or a DMP, one of those two.
Yep, DMP, a data management platform. So think about how they're able to collect those things so that they can take this data they have and feed it back into these different DSPs or different platforms so that they can create a better targeted campaign. You're able to retain more business that way. You're able to grow more business that way. And these platforms will also be able to create potential lookalike audiences based off of the people that they're already working with as well. I like the last bullet point you have here, Devin, finding cookieless targeting capabilities. It's definitely something that we have within AdCellerant. We're going to talk about here in just a few moments, but let's talk about the importance of the first-party data. First and foremost, you need to think about one, compliance. I know we gave a super exciting webinar, I think it was back in November, about compliance in particular, and what AdCellerant's doing to make sure that we're setting up not just ourselves, but our partners and their customers appropriately with compliance. It is so important to take this seriously because, especially in certain types of industries, I think of the healthcare industry in particular, one record of leaked data can cost about $5,000. Think about if they leaked a single database with just 100 records, $500,000. If you're not taking your data seriously, you're not treating it with respect, you're not housing it in the appropriate formats and places, it can cripple entire organizations. And so we want to make sure that you're setting yourselves up for success. And it's even more so about how you're receiving data and how you're sending that data as well. If you have not heard about AdCellerant's new updated policies around how we're sharing data as well, this is something you need to take very seriously. Please reach out to your dedicated support account managers, onboarding specialists, even myself or Devin. We'd be happy to share with you how we're able to share data between ourselves and our partners, vice versa. There was a good question from Allie about how is this going to impact our alt network strategies. Our alt network is leveraged, for a lot of the alternative businesses that we might work with, like a cannabis business or even casinos and gambling, things like that. I'll share with you in just a few slides exactly how it's going to impact it. But you should be excited about it because we've got some great solutions that help to insulate you guys from what that looks like. So we'll dive into that here in just a second, Allie. I appreciate your patience. Devin, back to compliance and making sure that we're following along these dang data privacy laws. It would be ideal if they rolled out, maybe a couple of laws federally, but they like to, obviously make it hard on everybody. So there's different laws. There's the California Privacy Act. There's the Colorado ones. There's Virginia. There's Connecticut. I mean, they're all coming down, statewide instead of federally, which is making it a little bit tougher for everybody. But fortunately, if you're working with AdCellerant, you know that we can help you stay on the forefront of it. What should these people be doing in terms of approaching first-party data?
Yeah, the first thing is, you're right, the data privacy, updating either your privacy policy or we've all done it. We go to a website and we have to click allow cookies or don't allow. You need that message. And that's something that we would help all of our clients create and write, give you the shell of it and how to install it or anything else like that. So if you do need help with that, just feel free to reach out to either one of us or your account manager. We'll get it taken care of. The second thing that you need to do is start putting pixels on your page. That starts collecting it. And that collection lives inside of your ad server. And even if you don't know what to do with it, you can begin something that's pre-populating the segments. So when you're ready to go, you have 30 days worth of data to put in there. As you're doing that, start discussing and developing and discovering your audience strategy. What's the contextual? What type of information are you getting on your audiences? What do your clients want to see? There's other companies out there, the DMPs, and that can help with that or do that for you. We would also be happy to lend a hand, give you some ideas and stuff like that of how do we do this. That's a larger, more strategic step, but it is a necessary one.
Absolutely. So there's plenty of options out there. If you just don't know where to start, I would start by talking to people smarter than yourself. I like to talk to Devin. So he could definitely help point us in a particular direction in terms of what you might want to try considering, but also lean into your industry colleagues. I'm sure a lot of them actually have some of these things in place already. There's a lot of different resources you guys can lean into. So it's just a quick reminder, data is king, and you want to make sure you can take full advantage of it and don't get too far behind it. So if you're not doing it today, please start prioritizing that conversation. It's kind of like what they say, the best time to plant a tree was, 50 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree, today. So just get the conversation started at least and make sure you're moving forward with it. We have to think about, as we're approaching that first party data collection and how we're going to be taking advantage of it, Devin, There's also things to keep in mind, right? While they're doing these types of things. One, compliance. I can't say it enough. I'm sure Douglas, our compliance manager, is probably happy that I keep saying the word compliance many, many times over. But what are the risks, and what do they need to consider doing here, Devin, while they start to look at that first party data approach?
You don't have to jump both feet in, I think is the most important thing. Vet out some of these partners. As I said, if it talk to your peers, you can ask us. Some of them I've worked with in the past, or I know them, and I'd be happy to give you my honest opinion with them. I mean, some are absolutely wonderful. Don't be afraid to test it. Just because they say they need everything, they might not. You might be able to just test a page or two, see how it looks, see if this is what you're prepared to do. And the last one, as I said, talk it over with people. As many people as you can. As we gather our minds together, we tend to come up with the correct answer rather than just waiting for one person. I do it all the time. I bounce ideas off of Ben, and vice versa, and we start developing solutions together. So please keep doing that. This is a very difficult problem coming up, and it's fast approaching. So.
Definitely. And you know what? The last point that you made there, which is the second bullet point here, is so important. If you guys have certain solutions and platforms and technologies in place today, make sure that those different platforms and techs are able to talk to each other. That is a really important piece. Make sure you can take what's here, you can plug it into what's there, and vice versa, because I've seen it a handful of times now where, hey, we've got a certain setup today and we're planning on using this for a long time. Oh, by the way, we just purchased this new thing to help us with our first party data collection, yet it doesn't necessarily talk with them. So make sure you talk and you go through that entire kind of ecosystem from soup to nuts of how these will actually work together. Oh, Karen says, I'm hearing that we'll have to help our clients with first party data management. Is there a cost to do so? There likely is a cost to do some of those things. Nothing in life is free, right? But I would recommend finding a few different resources in the marketplace today that you might be able to use. There's a lot of industry specific ones as well, whether it's real estate focused or education focused or even healthcare focused. Help your advertisers. I would say don't necessarily tell them what to do. They still need to make this decision on their own. You don't want to be putting yourself in a position where you said, hey, use this one, it's the best one, and then something were to happen. Make sure that they are also talking to their industry peers about the best solutions out there. It's one of the reasons why we all go to these different conferences, we're going to all these different events, is to bring that tribal knowledge of successes or failures that we've had, feed them back into each other so that we can make sure that we do it better the next time it comes up with any one of those individuals. So you can definitely provide guidance on that. I would not necessarily encourage you to give them a very, very specific solution unless you've got certain protections in place as well. Anything else on that one, Dev?
No, I think you got it.
Cool. I appreciate it. Not many times Devin gives me that answer. Normally he's just helps me optimize that comment a little bit more, but I appreciate that. That was good. So as you guys are starting to think about what this cookieless future holds, how are we going to take advantage of these different types of things? Remember, at AdCellerant, I think we've had our Cookieless Future Committee for like 5+ years now. We have had plenty of time testing, working with the trade desk, working with the IAB. We've actually got several members of our team who are part of IAB committees who are helping to tie together what this cookieless future looks like and how we can help insulate our publisher partners, our agency partners, our advertisers, the end advertisers as well. And we have several solutions in place that you can take advantage of today that really help with this. First off, plenty of the contextual targeting capabilities out there. Contextual targeting is actually a great tactic to use. You can get a lot of really great performance out of it. One of the creepier ones that we have, device ID targeting. There are so many different ways to target, and it is a 100% cookieless solution. For those of you who have not been involved with any of our device ID capabilities, please reach out to myself. I would love to give you a full demo, show you under the hood a little bit about how those actually work. They're actually creating more and more capabilities with that as each day passes. I keep getting more and more excited about it. Addressable streaming TV as well. Definitely, dipping into the device ID technologies there while offering a streaming TV or OTT or CTV option with it. I'll keep throwing out as many acronyms as I can just to confuse people. But other ones like email, SEO, all these solutions are available today, ready to use, and can provide plenty of an amazing performance for your customers. So if you want to start leaning into some of these things, please reach out to your dedicated account manager, or if you're not an AdCellerant partner today, reach out to myself. I'd love to give you an overview of exactly what we can do to help you out in terms of that cookieless future and insulating yourselves moving forward. This brings us to our last point. This is actually just a little bit of a teaser. We haven't actually started, talk about this a ton, but part of what that acquisition with Blue Orchid means is running direct sold campaigns on your publisher sites. We're leveraging Google Ad Manager, GAM 360. What's beautiful about this, and part of like one of those key elements is that you can order, manage, and report on all these things directly within AdCellerant's proprietary technology, UI.marketing. That's right alongside all the other audience extension capabilities and all those other products that we just talked about a second ago. Those are also things that will help with the alt network, supporting the impact of the alt network there. Ali, I know you mentioned that one before. So what this helps to cover and make sure you guys are not missing out on these is that you're now able to fulfill more impressions on your campaign. Say you have an advertiser who purchased $1,000 worth of ads and you only delivered $800 worth. We've got optimization tactics that do help to fulfill those even more. We're making sure that you're not over-serving on impressions, making sure you're getting them exactly what they need and you're not missing out on any revenue opportunities. And then also that audience data. So definitely something you guys can lean into there. How are you winning? Devin and his team are helping to consolidate the setup on all of those. They're focused on goal-based campaign optimizations and also helping you guys create that first-party data audience segments. It does require a GAM 360 account in order to take advantage of the first-party data segments. However, it's actually quite nominal in cost, and it's a really great way to make sure that you guys are starting to collect a lot of that information from your customers. And so when we think about what those revenue implications are and next steps look like, first off, I would encourage all of you who have websites where you're delivering ads on them, ask us for a complimentary audit. We'd be more than happy to put one together for you. This is just an example on the left-hand side of our screen here of some of the things that we were able to uncover through an audit of another partner. They were actually managing 11 separate networks through their current instance. They had about an average of 173 campaigns running at once across those 11, averaging 15 campaigns per month per network. And then actually most of those campaigns were set up with a goal. This is something that's not necessarily unique to the industry. It's a lot of people get in here, they have teams of people that set these campaigns up, and it's kind of a set it and forget it mentality, right? Hey, set the campaign, set the parameters, here's the goal, or excuse me, here's the impression amount, and that's what we want to do. That's all they focus on. Well, you can actually get more performance out of those things and fulfill better for your customers, which will inherently increase your retention rate as well. This customer that we were talking with was delivering on average 7.5 million impressions monthly across all these networks with only an 83% fill rate. Meaning they were crediting 17% of their revenue back to their customers each month because they didn't fulfill their campaigns entirely. They had other campaigns that were set up that were over-delivering. So this means they're giving added value to some people who maybe they didn't want to give that to, and they were losing out on revenue because of that. Excuse me. What this equated to was over $15,000 a month in missed revenue opportunity for them, just because of the way that they were setting it up and running it. What this also can do by leaning into your AdCellerant resources and Devin's team is providing full-time employee savings. If you're able to structurally reposition a person to focus on more revenue-driving activities and let Devin and his team focus on the hands, the keyboard, heavy lifting, proactive campaign management, fulfillment for those campaigns, you're saving on average about $3,000 per month. And the other pieces that we're pulling out of this is that they're creating retention rates over the 85th percentile. So instead of seeing only half of your campaigns or 40% of your campaigns renewing on a month-to-month basis, these guys are helping to increase it. So overall, you're seeing incremental revenue growth through retention. You're seeing incremental revenue growth through revenue that should hit that you don't want to reconcile and pay back to somebody, and providing a significant amount of savings at the end of the day too, where you can reposition or restructure certain individuals to be more focused on revenue driving activities. Devin, I kind of just teeing you up there, just telling everybody how great you are. Thanks for being a wonderful case study for me.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd add to this? Oh, I think you're muted. There you go.
Oh no, this is very typical of how it's set up. Walking down through it, the 11 networks to manage just creates, it's ripe for error is what it is you basically have 11 different things to log into to manage an advertiser, to manage your company. Can you consolidate all that down to one? The answer is usually yes. Going through there, the 170 active campaigns, that's a lot. Can that be reduced down? Can you combine campaigns, meaning this advertiser wants to run this day and that day that are in opposite periods of the month? Can we put that down to one and give your client just a very consolidated, very easy to read report based on all their campaigns? The answer is probably yes. So this just doesn't go down to the performance. It goes to the optics that it's given as well, to get that going. This fill rate, just missed opportunities. You see that everywhere. You can see blank spaces online, maybe even on your own site. Why is that happening? We help you get to the bottom line of that. And then the over delivering, unfortunately that happens as well. Or you make a deal that says, well, they just bought it for the month. I don't really know what that backs out to. We can help you figure that out and either put a goal on them so they only get what they pay for, or just set up the other advertisers if that's how you want to run your business. We get it set up through there and walk you through the process and manage it all for you.
That's awesome. We got a couple of good questions coming through. Allie asked, well, with the focus moving toward first-party data, will AdCellerant change their strategy on leveraging the data our advertisers can provide? I wouldn't say that we're necessarily changing our strategy, because our strategy has always been available for leveraging that first-party data. If you're not sure exactly how you can use that today, feel free to reach out to your dedicated account managers. We can tell you exactly how we can plug in some of their first-party data today into campaigns that they're already running. Especially if they've got CRMs of customer data. We can leverage certain parts of that in order to do so. Quick, not caveat, but very important part: don't send an email that has all their information, all their data. Just talk about the data to begin with. Understand what kinds of data it is. Is it names? Is it phone numbers? Is it email addresses? Is it demographics tied to it? And what does that data consist of before you actually start moving it around and sharing it? That is a very important part of the puzzle here. So we can take some of that data today, start plugging it into certain campaigns, and absolutely help with those different strategies. Thanks for the great question, Allie. Jeff asks, and this is probably one for you, Devin, do you see a change in pricing structures as the shift in power moves back to those publishers in terms of that data?
No, I don't. I guess it's a deeper thing. In terms of remnant partners or SSPs, the revenue share, I don't see changing. But you now have information that you can sell to a DMP or to a DSP that will have a CPM value towards it, of saying, I'll sell you all my sports users at $2. That will also work. In terms of talking to a direct client, I do believe that's a chance for an upsell. That yes, you can run on my site, but if you want to run on my sports users, that's an extra $2 CPM or $3 CPM or whatever you want to charge. you now have that ability. And once you get it set up, it can run much like forecasting can on your own site as well, of saying, I have 100,000 users for the month of February. Um, it can offer up, can you go out and buy more users with that and increase your audience? The answer will be yes. I believe all of that will come to fruition sooner rather than later.
I like that. So we don't see necessarily pricing structures changing, but we see new revenue opportunities arising based off of what these guys are able to pull.
Yeah, and that's just my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen.
I take your opinion very seriously because you're typically right. Let's see here. Carlo asks, does AdCellerant still deliver geocache and target behavior marketing? I feel like I'm on the wrong planet. Sorry. No, that's okay, Carlo. No need to apologize, my friend. Yes, that falls within the device ID targeting capabilities that we have. If you'd like to learn more about that, feel free to reach out to myself or your dedicated account manager here at AdCellerant. We can definitely make sure that you have all the information that you need to get a little bit more dangerous in there. So we appreciate everybody's time today. If there are any other questions, I'll give it another minute or so. I'd love for everybody, if you have an opportunity for us to run a complimentary audit, please reach out to myself or Devin. We have our emails right here, or you can go to AdCellerant.com. We'd also recommend go and follow us on LinkedIn or other social media sites. Make sure that you stay up to date with what AdCellerant's doing, what our different products launches are looking like, any different things that we're doing there as well. We're excited to keep the conversation rolling with a lot of you. So I don't see any other questions. Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Jeff, everybody else for the engaging conversation today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Devin. Have a wonderful week. Spring breaks, if you're taking advantage of those. Oh, I wish I could take a vacation right now. I don't know about you, Deb. Deb, you're headed up to the mountains here soon, aren't you?
I gotta go.
That sounds good.
I
Well, we'll
am
get you
going
out.
up this
We'll get
weekend.
you out 13 minutes earlier. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We'll see you around.